vary, but honestly, it is not competitive. We just have a few gates that our students have to meet, one being a 3.0 GPA requirement. You have to submit your resume, your teaching philosophy. These are assignments that you would be completing in the two education courses that I just mentioned. And you would be required to submit your SAT or SAT scores. And we can talk more about that and give you more details later or as and when questions come up. In addition, in your freshman and sophomore year, you will also be completing general education requirements. You will be completing a course in writing, natural science, math, technology, and so forth. And you would also be completing 4 courses that fall under our university interdisciplinary studies. All of our students have to complete a subject area major. Most of our students complete what is called a behavioral studies interdisciplinary major, and it comprises of courses in psychology, sociology, communication, and political science. And all of these courses are well planned, and they're planned within your coursework, and you will complete all of the requirements in 4 years. AP credits absolutely count. Usually these scores would come in during summer, and some of your schedules might change depending on the scores that we receive. However, please note that you will always have an academic advisor who you would be able to talk to, and we can make changes to your schedules as and when required. We also accept early college credit courses. Once again, this would be a great question for your academic advisor who you would be assigned to. Just one thing to remember is when you're transferring courses, only the credits transfer into the University of Hartford, and your GPA is not impacted at that point in time.
So let's stop here. Sorry, Sheetal. We do better tag team when we see each other. I know that there are a number of questions that Jessica was working through, and a couple of them are related to what Sheetal just shared. So Jess, what's on deck?
Okay, so the first question that I think really Sheetal was just saying was, are there more credits required when majoring in integrated special ed versus the other programs? Could you go over a little bit more about that?
Sure. Sheetal, do you want me to take this one, or do you want to take it?
No, that's fine. You can take it.
Okay. So our integrated elementary special ed program, as you are probably well aware, it is a program that certifies you in the end for 2 certificates in the state of Connecticut. One is your license to teach elementary, grades 1 through 6, and the other is to teach special ed K to 12. And in order to accomplish this, all you need to do is take 1 extra course. So think about that. 1 extra course gives you 2 certifications, which can increase your marketability. So consider that carefully. And also know that special education in the state and across the United States is a shortage area, which makes it more likely that you will more easily find a job because districts are in need of more special ed teachers. Sheetal, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, that's it. And the one additional course is a part of your professional program, and which you would complete in your first semester senior year. So you won't have to worry about it right away.
Lisa, the 2 other questions are, which I think you'll both cover in your presentation, but is there training for integrating technology into the classroom? And then when the students might want to start thinking about this too, can you describe what your freshman year experience was like? So I know you're covering that in terms of this, but as you go on, feel free to integrate those into your responses.
No, those are great questions.
Keep those questions coming.
Yeah, great. And I will definitely answer the technology question, but it will be great to have the students' perspectives on that as well. So, in your program for education, there is currently a course that is specific to computers and teaching. So that's a 3 credit course, in addition to a technology focused university integration, what is it, UIS? University Interdisciplinary Studies courses. So there's a technology piece there. There's a course in the education program for early childhood for all of the education majors. And then some of the faculty work very hard to integrate technology within all of their other education related classes. Not all of us have a passion for integrating technology, but we know that technology is required, and we know that principals fully expect that you will be the tech geniuses for the future teaching. So we do our best to integrate it. Do we want to have a student chime in on first year experience, or do we want to go through this and get to the first year first, Sheetal?
We can have the students chime in, that's fine.
Okay. So who wants to take that one? All right, one of you just jump in and open your mic.
Okay, I guess I can talk about it. So freshman year was a fresh start. So you come in, you're just like everybody else. Maybe you're in a brand new town, a brand new state, a brand new experience, and everybody is there to support you. So no matter what's going on, you will make friends and you will be supported by professors, by your advisor, by your RAs, by everyone. So if you ever have a situation where, you don't know what to do, or, you're kind of bored and you need something to do, there will always be somebody there, like a foot away with something to do. So all professors know that this is a brand new experience. It's the first time that you're living on your own. So they are aware of that, and they take it into consideration with all the new changes. So most professors won't just, throw you in there and have these extravagant expectations for you. They're really there to support you, and nobody is there to make you fail. Everybody is there to help you learn and to help you grow. I don't know if that answered the question, but that's my experience.
Hey, that's excellent. Thank you, Courtney. And if it didn't answer the question, the chat box can get more specific for us, right? Thanks. So, Sheetal, can you talk more about SAT requirements? Yes, Sheetal, you want to take over on this particular waiver page, and we can also talk about SAT for our education program.
Perfect. So if you have submitted your SAT scores and you have a certain score, which would be 650 or 690, and 700 in critical reading, or 700 to 800, you can be waived of your writing requirements. So as a part of your undergrad program, you are required to complete 2 writing courses, but you can be waived from those courses depending on your SAT scores and your AP language and composition scores. Once again, like I said, you will have an advisor, and this is something that you can get more details about from your advisor and work with them in order to determine whether you are eligible for the waiver or not. I also mentioned that you have to submit SAT scores as a part of your professional program requirements. However, please note that there's no cut score for those SAT scores. We just need a score on file. So it doesn't really matter what your score was. You don't have to retake the test. You just have to submit your scores. And once we have that, that will be no issues moving forward with the professional program.
Yeah, so we're not collecting them just for paperwork. We do collect them because it is a state requirement. And the state has removed a cut score level and has left it up to us as an institution to say, okay, so if you have this writing score, it means you might have a problem, with writing extensively. And so we may need to support you with that. So we use those scores in order to help determine, how to support you as you're moving forward. But it is a requirement. So although the University of Hartford is test optional, if you want to become a teacher in Connecticut, you will have to share either your SAT scores or ACT scores, or if you've taken neither of those, we will need you to take the Praxis core. And like Sheetal said, these tests, there are no cut scores, so you don't stress about it, but you do want to make sure that the SAT scores that you submit do reflect a good effort. Don't go in and, slap happy it all. Really give it some kind of an effort, but don't stress about it, is basically what I'm trying to say. Sorry, Sheetal, I interrupted.
Sorry, I was on mute. So next is study abroad. I know everybody wants to know about study abroad and those experiences, and I will call on Jordan in a minute. But just so you know, you can all participate in a study abroad experience or more. You can decide to go for an entire semester, which would be for education students in your second semester sophomore year, or you can decide to go for a shorter time during winter term, your spring break or summer term. Um, and once again, you will work closely with your advisor. As soon as you know you're interested in going abroad to study, just let your advisor know so that they can plan your schedule accordingly. In fact, for almost all of our programs, we have tried and make a schedule in a way that allows you to take all of your classes that would count towards your program here when you are studying abroad. And I mentioned Jordan only because she's gone on multiple study abroad experiences. So I'm going to call on her so that she can add to this information. Jordan?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to study abroad like coming into college, so I went straight away. We have a study abroad fair in the fall and the spring, so you can learn about all the opportunities. But I went on 3 study abroad experiences during my 4 years, 2 of which were our spring break programs. So it's a break that you already have built into the year, and you take a course on campus during the spring semester and then go abroad during the scheduled spring break. So it was really nice. I got my UIS credits out of the way. I got to go abroad and have those experiences. And I also, in addition to that, sophomore year did a semester abroad in Stellenbosch, South Africa. And with that, I got to teach while I was abroad as well. And that was something I was really looking forward to and looking for. And I think that experience really gave me a leg up in terms of looking for a job, because it shows that I can work with people from different cultures. I can adapt to new environments. And I also got to be one of the lead teachers in a classroom before I got into student teaching in senior year. So I was already ahead of the game a little bit in terms of lesson planning and teaching a whole class.
Thanks, Jordan.
There was a question, are some abroad locations better than others? I can just sort of address that, but you do have to be careful which programs you're choosing, because you are still trying to fulfill the requirements for graduation. But like Dr. Sood was saying, everyone's really supportive. You work closely with your advisor to stay on track, but you also get to work closely with the study abroad office, and everyone makes sure that your credits are going to count before you even leave the country.
Should we take a question break? Jess, are there any questions?
So far, the questions addressed. Thank you.
Okay. Enrichment opportunities. There are tons of enrichment opportunities on campus. We have Kappa Delta Pi, and we'll talk about that in a bit because I'll call on a student. We also have the Best Buddies program if you decide to join that. Once again, a great opportunity for you to work on campus with some on and off campus actually with individuals with disabilities and basically focus on inclusion. We do have research opportunities where you have the opportunity to work with faculty members on some of the research projects that they're working on. I know both Lisa and I have involved students. So for one of my projects, which was about number sense, we had a research study that we did at the magnet school on campus, and I had involved students in that research. Lisa and I are both working on a project on STEAM education, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math right now. And we have two students who are working on that project with us. We also have the honors program. Some of you have probably already received a notification about joining as an honors student, and you can absolutely do that. A number of times students ask us if the honors program would be like more difficult than the regular program. And I would say not difficult, it's more challenging. You usually just add on to the coursework that you're already taking. So you have to take two general education courses as your honors requirement, two of your professional program courses, and then you take two additional independent study credits where you write up your thesis or your honors project. We do have student ambassadors as well. I know all of our students here have served as student ambassadors. And as ambassadors, you're basically representing the department, the college, and you help us work on events such as this. The one thing that we didn't talk about was Kappa Delta Pi, and I'm going to call on Michaela. Michaela, do you want to add a few words about KDP and your role in it?
Sure, absolutely. So as Dr. Sood said, Kappa Delta Pi, it's the International Honor Society in Education, and we have a chapter here at the University of Hartford called the Pi Phi chapter. I was inducted into the Kappa Delta Pi Honor Society when I was a sophomore in the undergrad elementary special ed program. My junior year, I held the position of treasurer. Senior year, I held the e-board position as president. And then when I graduated and became a graduate student in the online special ed program, Dr. Sood, who is the faculty counselor for KDP, she asked if I could be the associate counselor. And so right now I hold that position of associate counselor for the honors program or honor society. It truly is a great program to be a part of. It gives you a variety of resources to help you as teacher candidates in your undergraduate degree programs while you are out in schools completing fieldwork and student teaching experiences. It gives you resources on interviewing skills. It gives you a variety of information on just what it's like to be a first-year teacher, what it's like to be a student teacher, what it's like to be a student in fieldwork before you get to the student teaching stage. And it truly sets you apart. It's a membership that school districts across the nation take in and know and are aware of and have familiarity with. Not only are college students members of the Honors Society in Education, but also teachers themselves and administrators in education are also a part of this Honor Society. And when I got my teaching position that I'm currently in, I was asked that question pertaining to my experience with KDP as an undergrad and graduate student, because my principal and my school district were familiar with it. So it definitely sets you apart, and it really gives you an experience like none other when you're in KDP as an undergraduate student to just fine-tune your leadership skills, work on giving back opportunities and giving back to the community, and also providing you with resources to help you further your degree as a teacher candidate and once you step foot into a classroom.
Thanks, Michaela.
You're welcome.
Lisa, do you want to add anything here?
No, only to, well, I lied. I just said no, and then I started to add something. Wow. Um, I would just like to add that in terms of the bullet number 3, research opportunities, not only have Dr. Sood or Sheetal and I worked on things with students, but Michaela has been involved in research opportunities as an undergrad. She was involved, and that actually led to a publication in a journal. So Michaela is also a published author now as a result of the research work she did with faculty in the education department. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty fascinating thing to walk out of your undergrad degree with publications. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to add. Dr. Sood, take it away.
Perfect. So we've already talked about this, but this is just a few more details about the honors program. What is the eligibility criteria? You do need an SAT score of combined score in reading and math of 1140 or an ACT score of 226. Um, you would be you basically would receive a letter indicating that you are eligible for the honors program. I would encourage everybody to take advantage of that. If for some reason you are not eligible for the honors program in your first semester, that doesn't matter. You could still have the opportunity or could still receive an invitation in your second semester here. Um, Once again, talk to your advisor. If for some reason you're not in the honors program or you decide to ignore the invitation, there are definitely tons of opportunities that would allow you to work with faculty and work on research or work on things that you are interested in. Our honors program coordinator is Dr. Claudia Oaks, and her email ID is on this slide if you want to make a note of it. If not, you can just send us an email and we will be more than happy to share that information with you.
I can take this one, Sheetal.
All right,
You've been talking. I'll give you a little break. So, you know, we talked about all of the ways that you can challenge yourself academically, but equally as important, you know, because we're not all perfect and great at everything, we also want you to know that there are academic supports in place, and our university is pretty darn amazing when it comes to academic supports and all around wraparound student support in every area. So we have a Center for Reading and Writing that offers one-to-one tutoring for writers. They will help you not to finish a paper necessarily, but help you to make changes to that paper in terms of focusing on new skills and strategies that might make your writing overall stronger. We have peer tutors through the SGA, our Student Government Association, that they will match you with a particular student, a peer who's already taken the class and done very well in it, well enough so that they can teach another person or support people in that way. We also have accessibility for students with documented learning concerns. And this is a little bit different than high school, where teachers automatically think about and are aware of whatever is documented for all of their students. In this case, it's really on you as a student to work with the accessibility office and be the proactive person to say, hey, here's my documented concern. I believe I'm going to need a little more time. Can you help me make this happen? And between you and that office, they will provide you support and direction on how to let your instructors know what you need and in what way they can support you. So down on the bottom, some typical accommodations, like I had said, I need extended time on tests, or I'm very distracted in this particular environment. I need separate testing locations, things like that. But again, this is just different than high school. It's not automatic. So you need to be proactive, do it ahead. My recommendation is to do it ahead of time with accessibility and your instructors. You may never need to use it, but if you do need to use it and it's an upcoming test, to have it in place is better than to not have it in place. We're not going to be able to support you after you fail a test. Okay, you should really be proactive, put it in place and say, hey, it's there if I need it. If I don't, I don't, right? So those are some of the supports. Dr. Sood, can you press forward for me? Awesome. So as an adult in college, you have rights and protections, and there is a form that you will sign off on. It's digital. It's in an area of your student learning area. I don't know how they refer to it. It's called the Self-Service Center. If you look for it on our website, students have access to it to register for courses, to do all kinds of things, check their grades, but also in there is this area where you have to give your parents written permission. You have to sign off and say, yes, my parents have permission to see my grades, to hear about concerns in residential life, and so on and so forth. And so that document is going to require you to either give your permission to your families or not. And so that's a big thing. That's a big change. And you can change that at any time. So we're going to encourage you at orientation, should you decide to join up with us, which we hope you may, we're going to talk to your parents and to you about that. So together you can come up with some reasonable approach to how you're going to deal with that. Dr. Sood? It's just slow, isn't it? You clicked it and I'm just waiting. So we have some time to talk about your first semester and your second semester. I don't know if this level of detail is too much for you. So what I plan to do is just go through each of the semesters kind of quickly, just to give you a feel for what it will look like. We won't get into a whole lot of detail. And if you decide you want more detail, you can share that with us in the chat box. We can also bring our students back in to talk more specifically about any one of these courses because they've all taken them. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So what we're really thrilled about is that every year while you are in this program, you are out in the field in a classroom. And the classrooms are varied. We try to put you in a variety of different types of classrooms. The first 2 years, you don't need a car. And because we have 5 or 6 schools that are within walking distance to campus, we put you in those locations. And that happens as a result of what you see at the top of the slide, EDF 120. That's our Intro to Education course. And you go in, once a week. Whoa, what's happening? You go in once a week to a particular classroom. And the expectations for your work in there is really more about observation because it is your first time in a classroom. However, if you're somebody who, who's been working with children in camp settings or helping with babysitting and things, you might have some comfort. And it is okay to talk to the teacher and say, hey, I'm okay reading aloud to these students, or I'm okay working with a small group, or I'm okay working with Courtney who, might need some help. And so, you have more freedom with that. So that's a good thing. Because it's a pre-professional course, you do have to score a B in it. It is important that we see you making every effort possible in all your courses, but in your education courses. UIS, University Interdisciplinary. That's what you heard Jordan referring to. She took a UIS when she did her study abroad. So she took a course in another country and it counted towards her graduation requirements here. They must typically be taken at the university, but again, that doesn't relate as specifically to study abroad. I think what they're saying is we don't want you taking UIS courses at a community college, so to clarify that. And then our first intro psych course you would be taking one of your communication or poli-sci courses, and you'd be taking some version of writing. And I saw briefly that somebody had asked a question about 16 credits, and that seems like a lot. I'm going to ask, Courtney, how do you feel about this? How was your very first semester taking a plan of study like this? Was it too much? Was it okay?
I thought it was okay. It's definitely different than your high school experience, but it's not as difficult as you think it would be. As long as you're organized and you're on top of yourself, then you'll be fine. And again, all the professors are there for you if you have any questions. And I'm uncertain about this, but do they still take a dialogue class?
So yeah, that's a great question. They do have a first year experience class. It's not called dialogue anymore, but they absolutely do have that.
Okay, so you will be taking a class that will go over everything. So it really just helps with the transition from high school to college. And they provide you with all the help that you need. I was at a disadvantage because I had Lisa as my professor, but I mean, it is what it is. I turned out okay.
You know what? Honestly, Courtney, it's I think because of that class that you and I have the relationship we have now. So I'm glad for it.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, again, as long as you're organized and you ask for help, you ask questions, you'll be okay. You'll be fine.
Thank you. That's awesome, Courtney. Jess, any other questions related to this?
I heard all the questions.
Awesome, good. Sheetal, can you move one more slide ahead? Do you want to talk about this, Sheetal? Academic load. So I know one student was adding up all the credits and saw 16, so I'm sure that she now won't be thrilled to see the 18 credit load. But again, as Courtney said, there's plenty of free time, and it's a matter of learning to be a manager of your own time and energy and planning accordingly. Certainly 18 credits is a challenge if you are somebody who waits for the last minute to accomplish things. You really do have to start working on scheduling things in advance, sticking to schedules, and the first year seminar will, as Courtney said, help you to do that. They will provide you supports, and they will be on you like I was with Courtney, and like I had to be. No, I'm kidding. Courtney was great. Like the first year instructors, the first year seminar instructors, we get to know you. There were times when people walking out of my first year seminar said, "Bye, Mom," and then laughed and forgot. We get to know you, and we will be on you. Not like your parents necessarily. We're not checking in every night to say, "Did you do your homework?" But we will be checking in once a week through that first year seminar saying, "How is it going? Are you staying on track?" And so on and so forth. So, yeah. Next slide, please, Sheetal. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So one of the highlights of our programs are the clinical experiences. So you will actually be out in the field working with students in your very first semester here. Like Lisa mentioned, you don't need a car. We have schools on campus where we send our students, and we have great relationships. Um, so in your first year, when you're taking your Intro to Education course, you will be required to complete 24 hours of field work. And basically, you begin by observing, and it really depends on the student whether or not and how comfortable they are. But they eventually start working on small group activities with the teacher and so forth. So, once again, while you're building your relationship with your professors on campus, this is your opportunity where you've actually already started networking with professionals out in the field. In your second education course, which you take in your first semester sophomore year, you will be taking a course on Intro to Special Ed. And for that particular course, once again, you will be out in the field working in an included classroom, a resource room, or a transition academy, depending on, like, if there was one student who told me, Dr. Sood, I'm really interested in working at the transition academy, and we were able to place the student there. So really, we do keep student interests in mind, and you go out, you complete 24 hours of field work again, and this is a great time and opportunity for our students to come back and kind of reflect on where they really want to be. There was one student who came back who was in the early childhood program, and she said, I always thought I wanted to work with the little ones, but with my experiences, I feel I want to work with third and fourth graders. So this is an opportunity to make decisions in terms of what program or where do you see yourself as a teacher once you graduate from the program. So you can make those decisions up until your sophomore year. It is in your junior year when you start taking courses in your program. So, for example, students in the integrated program take some of the elementary ed courses, and they also take a course on differentiating instruction that counts towards their special ed program. And in your junior year, you will be spending a lot more time in the field. Once again, you will be no longer just observing. You will be at this by this point in time, you're learning how to write lesson plans, and so we want you to start taking over and maybe teach one lesson and videotape yourself and reflect. And I do want to point out all of these fieldwork experiences are attached to a course so that you can come back having gone to those experiences and come back to a class and discuss with your professor what's happening, what's going on. Basically, you're taking the information that you learn in your classes and you're being able to implement some of that in your fieldwork experiences. In your senior year, in your first semester, across programs, you will be completing a half-day student teaching experience. And then in your second semester, you will be out in the field, full-day student teaching. Once again, great opportunities in terms of clinical experiences. And I think students have really learned and enjoyed those experiences. Lisa, do you
I,
want to add anything here?
I do, but it's unrelated to clinical. What I'm noticing is I only partially answered Melissa's question about 16 credits in your freshman year being a lot during a semester. She had also asked, would it be possible to take a class over the summer online to make up for if you took fewer freshman courses, just to probably to ease into things. And I
Mhm.
do know of a number of students who've done that, but the difference is, if you choose to go that route, then you will have to pay additional for that summer course. You won't have the freedom to have that all included in your fall tuition bill. It would be a separate fee to pay for a summer course. So it's possible. It's just a little more expensive. Okay. Autumn also had a question about picking courses. So during orientation, do they get to pick courses, or should she start considering that now? And Sheetal, I'm going to kind of take a stab at this by saying that during orientation, well, in education, the demands and the regulations are so high in Connecticut that, you have to take all of these courses that make it a 16 or 18 credit semester, because this is what the state requires. For you to get out in 4 years, you have to take these dense semesters. And so, with the density of the semesters, when you get into your junior and senior year, you have very little freedom. And we know the intro courses that you're supposed to take. So, in orientation, you don't have to worry so much about choosing courses. And maybe I'll let Jess speak to this? Because Jess, do you have any more information about the approach to choosing classes for your first semester?
I absolutely do. And so just to remind you guys, so part of my role is as the Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Education is that I work closely with all the departments, even for courses you're taking outside of our college, and don't need to get yourself too worried about that. But we actually, along with your freshman advisor, each of you will be signed an individual academic advisor. I work with them and the other deans to create your schedule. And as you all know, we are in an unprecedented time. And so we are working behind the scenes right now to create great schedules for all of our students. And then you will have the opportunity to individually meet with your academic advisor to discuss your schedule. And so this is how we typically do it every year. It may be electronic this year. We may have to do WebEx meetings or Zoom meetings or, you know, whatever program we choose to do that based on the state of affairs. But we are working behind the scenes to make awesome schedules for all of our students, and you'll have an opportunity to debrief that. And we will still be holding orientations. And what that looks like right now is we are, again, planning based on the safety and well-being of all of our students what that's going to look like. But I can guarantee you that you will have the opportunity to not only chat with us numerous times over, but with your advisor, still have a orientation. This may look a little bit different than what we hoped. So just stay on that. And again, any questions you feel like you have about that, feel free to throw them out there. And we're working feverishly. Every person has a great experience to get acclimated to the University of Hartford. Certainly a question that all of the virtual admitted students have asked, so you're not alone in that.
Yeah, great. So Emma has a question, and we're going to hold off on that just a bit. Sheetal, can you advance? Okay, good. So I can speak to this really briefly. So many times people ask us, so if I come to the University of Hartford, but I know I want to teach in New Jersey, what does that mean? And what it means is this. We provide you with initial certification in Connecticut. Well, we don't provide you, you apply for that. We recommend you for that initial certification. When Connecticut gives you that certification is recognized in, I think it's more accurate to say now, nearly 50 of our states in the United States are part of this interstate compact. What that means is that they recognize Connecticut certification, they will honor Connecticut certification, but they may require you to take an additional test, or they may require you to take an initial, or not initial, a mini course. For example, New York City. New York City requires you to have some coursework in New York City history. And so they will hire you from Connecticut as a New York City teacher. And in that first year, they will offer and require you to take a mini course on the history of New York City. So, you know, there are minor things that each different state might expect you to do. But one thing we can promise you as part of the Interstate Compact is they will recognize that you've been trained in a good program in Connecticut, good enough for Connecticut to certify you. And so they'll never question the courses you've already taken and whether those courses, you know, are appropriate for their particular state requirements. So you can easily move from Connecticut certification to New Jersey, to New York. And many of our students, we just had an alumni event where we brought in virtually a few of our students who are out in the field teaching, and one of them is in New York. So, you know, we talked about that with her and confirmed it was what we expected. Next slide, please. Yeah, so one of the courses that you will have your first semester if you join us is EDF 120. That's the course with fieldwork. And the book that we're reading right now is The Hate You Give. So if you do want to get a jump on things, pick up a copy of The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It's a good read. that's all I can say. It's a great book, and we think you'll enjoy it, and you'll do some conversations around The Hate U Give. All right, so now more questions. Um, Emma wondered if in her senior year, if she decides to go straight to a master's or a doctorate at another school, will the administration help me find the correct program, even if it's at a different college? So none of us are experts on programs at other universities, but some of us do have experience getting our doctorates and taking master's programs elsewhere. And we can certainly share with you our own experience, and we can help you to figure out how to do some pretty concise searches online for the programs that that you might be interested in. I know a few of my former students, one of them wanted to go into deaf education for her master's degree. So together we sat down and we pulled up the internet and did our searching. And then I asked around to see if any of my colleagues who are out at different universities had any recommendations. So a long answer to your question, and the short answer is yes, we will help you even if it's at a different college. That's just part of the relationships we build with our students. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? I'm seeing none, but keep typing if you have any. Courtney, Jordan, and Michaela, is there anything that we've missed that you think as you know, as somebody who's gone through our programs, is there anything that you would have wanted to know your freshman year or when choosing a program, you know, that, I mean, I don't know, any open-ended kinds of things you want to share is basically what I'm trying to say, but not so elegantly.
All that I will say is, and Dr. Sood and Dr. Zielinski hit on it, what sets the University of Hartford Department of Education program apart from other universities is that you enter a school your first semester freshman year. So within the first few weeks of September, you're going into a school to start getting that hands-on experience. And you can only learn so much in your classes. And you learn, when you're in classes, you learn the methods of how to teach. You learn how to teach to the state standards. You learn how to work with students with disabilities. You learn how to be a professional within the education community and all of the requirements to how to teach reading, writing, math, science, social studies, and so forth. But then when you're in the classroom at your fieldwork or student teaching experiences, it's really nice to bring your coursework, what you've learned within your coursework, into your classroom in fieldwork and student teaching and kind of tie it all together and be able to see it all unfold just in front of your own eyes. And it's nice to have that experience from the very start of your freshman year. I have some childhood friends of mine who are teachers that went to other universities and they weren't placed in a classroom until their senior year. And their university didn't offer them fieldwork experiences the first 3 years. And some of them wish they had that experience because one now is in early childhood, but she would prefer to be in elementary education. But now she's tied to her early childhood degree and her early childhood certification because she wanted to change her mind at the end of her senior year and didn't have that experience beforehand. So all I wanted to add in was that it truly sets the university apart, being able to go into a classroom your first semester of your freshman year.
And adding on to that, because you're in so early, you get a lot of different experiences. We get to go in the schools on campus, but also schools in Hartford and also in the suburbs as part of our degree. So you have these different classroom experiences. You get a feel for what you prefer. And it's also really impressive when you go to a potential employer and say, well, I've been in 8 or 9 schools in the last 4 years. And it just shows a diversity that I don't know many candidates have.
Yeah, I just want to add into, I know there was a question about 16 credits and possibly taking less. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but I just want to emphasize your professors will not let you fail. Like, the education department will do anything and everything in their power to make you a successful teacher. Like, I can't even count how many times I've gone into Lisa's office or Sheetal's office and have bawled my eyes out about, how stressed I was and how nervous I was about things. And they really like talked me off the ledge and really made sure that, I was okay and that I was successful with all of my coursework, with all of my field work. And I feel like you don't really get that experience at a lot of other colleges. Like when you're at the University of Hartford, you're not just a number. Like I could stop into any one of the professors' offices and, ask them questions or bug them, or I can make fun of them like Lisa because it's easy to make fun of Lisa sometimes. But but I feel like you don't have this, sort of communication at other colleges that you might look at. And I know Lisa can back me up because the amount of times I've walked in the middle of your class and you've yelled at me to leave and I don't leave.
I love it.
Yeah. And, they're like Dr. Sood and Dr. Z are the co-chairs of education. So I know in other like departments or other colleges or even in our own UHeart, you don't always get that connection with the department chairs. And, I can joke with them anytime I want. And you also take classes with them. Like they are your professors. So you really get the full experience. You really get to learn a lot with them, no matter how much we joke around and, see squirrels in the middle of class. So.
I love it. It's true. We are who we are. And, we do joke a lot, and we find that, different instructors have different styles. And, humor really helps us to reduce stress. And as you come up to your senior year and you are in this really demanding semester where you're in a bunch of classes and serving half time every day in a classroom, it's stressful and it requires a commitment. And we know that as instructors. And so we really are here to help. We really are here to, bring joy to your lives as future teachers and as students. So we take you very seriously, and we take ourselves less seriously in hopes that, that combination and the joy and the humor will help support you. So Courtney, I appreciate your honesty. And yes, squirrels are distracting sometimes.
And I'll just add here, we all like troubling Lisa. That's the fun part. Uh, but the one thing I will say, I've been here for 10 years now, and the one thing that has kept me here is the relationships with the students that we build, getting to know them and spending time with them. We literally, all our faculty, we know our students by name, and it's just fun. And as a faculty member, I've valued that the most. Um,
Hmm.
and it's a fun place. We enjoy ourselves troubling students as well.
Yes, we do. Any other questions, worries, wonderings? I think they've all left us. That's what I think.
I'm not surprised. They probably got tired of hearing you, Lisa.
They probably did. You're grounded, Courtney.
Oh, no.
Lisa, did you touch on Emma's question from the chat about going on to a master's or doctorate program after undergrad?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep,
That's wasn't
she
sure
asked.
if I missed that.
Yep, absolutely.
Daydreaming about all the fun times in the hallway.
We've actually spent time hula hooping together in the hallway. It's
We
been
have.
great fun.
Yeah. I've shared many stories from my experiences. Good times.
Good times. Thank you, Brian, for thanking us. We're glad you were here.